Hello to you. I am ASMR Whittle, and today I will be doing a soft-spoken video yet again and do a requested video. I will be sort of presenting stuff I have read in my life, books. So I have placed some books on the bookshelf behind me, and I will be sort of talking about those books I have read in my life. Because that was a request video, so I wanted to do it. I hope you are calm, relaxed, and feel good and comfortable. And that your day is just amazing and great. I hope you're great. I really do. From the bottom of my heart, I mean it. So, before I begin with this soft-spoken video, and as I said, I hope you're relaxed and good. Before I begin this soft-spoken video, I just want to start by just thanking again for the support of my channel. I had a very good week the last week, because you know the channel increased 80 to 90 subscribers, and for a small channel like mine, that is a very good week. But I had a good week both in terms of the channel and otherwise. And today I took a hike in the sunny weather, which was very nice. You know, watched a beautiful river, and then I walked home again and started to prepare for recording, and yeah. And then, you know, I saw the Norwegian flags on many balconies, and the reason for that is because, you know, it's Liberation Day today, or when I filmed this, it was Liberation Day, which I told about in the previous video. So yeah, Norwegian Liberation Day, yeah. So anyway, I'm going to begin very soon, and also last week, a video which I published a few weeks ago actually crossed 1,000 views, which is the first video on my channel to do so. So that's also nice. I'm pretty sure, considering how often I update and post videos, this will not be the last video on my channel to do so, of that I'm pretty certain. But most of my videos haven't done so. So that's sort of like a small milestone right there. Anyway, and also I can also reveal now, and just as I did when I published the update today, I can reveal what I will be doing an question and answers video when my channel starts to approach 1,000 subscribers. So this will probably be a few weeks from now, but when my channel gets close to 1K subscribers, I will be doing a question and answers video, a Q&A video. I have waited till then to do that. And also, I will also start, while I will also continue and conclude the He Who Had It All story, I will later on publish stories in written form, most likely on Tumblr, but this might not be before in July, August sometime. So yeah, so there are many plans. But you know what? Now I'll think I'll get to the content of the video. I hope you're relaxed. I hope you feel calm and good on the inside. And I just want to say that if you do enjoy my videos, remember to click the like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. So let's begin with the books, shall we? Yeah. So I will be doing both history books and fiction books today. This book is called For Revolution, and it's written by Swedish author Herman Lindqvist, and it's a book about the French Revolution. So, and I read this some years ago, and it's a very insightful and enjoyable book about the French Revolution. You can tell this like, yeah, it's a very insightful and enjoyable book about the French Revolution. Here you can see an example of the page. It's translated to Norwegian, from Swedish to Norwegian, and it really gives a lot of insight into the times of the French Revolution, and many people, among historians, a lot of people consider the French Revolution the beginning of modern history. It's a very radical and dramatic area. You know, the area from 1789 to 1815 is a very interesting period in history because it's a period of radical change in Europe. And actually, in Europe. So, and it's also the French Revolution sort of starts to approach to one of the biggest European wars in history, which is the Napoleonic Wars, the Wars of Napoleon. You know, so that's it's a very interesting and fascinating period. You know, to see how sort of some of our some of the modern European democracies slowly started to get its foundations during the French Revolution, and that was also, the French Revolution is also really the beginning of the collapse of the old systems. You know, most of the old monarchies and dynasties will slowly start to ebb away over the coming century and a half after the French Revolution. You know, so it's really a period of great dramatical upheaval and change. Yeah, it's one of those really special periods in European history. I personally consider the 7 Years' War during the 1750s to 1760s more like the foundation for more like the beginning of modern history, but a lot of historians actually consider the French Revolution, and that's understandable, especially from an European perspective. So you can see, there are some brutal pictures here, so I'll try not to show them in an ASMR video. Here you actually have Napoleon, you know. Here you have Napoleon. Here you have Napoleon, and then you have and then you have, I'll just be sort of, I'm just sort of, and here you have a picture from the revolutionary area, so if you can see, and here you of course have a really well-known picture from the revolutionary area. So it's a really enjoyable book about the French Revolution. We will be going from revolution and history to fiction. This is in Norwegian The Tales of Beetle the Bard, just a Norwegian edition of it. And this is from J.K. Rowling and the author of the Harry Potter stories. And it's a very, very enjoyable book, because this tells sort of the fairy tales of the Harry Potter universe, and I've read it, and it's actually really enjoyable, and it sort of expands on the lore of the Harry Potter universe, because you can read about the fairy tales which wizarding children in the Harry Potter universe, and the word grows up with. So it's really enjoyable. I'll be sort of being a little careful now so I don't drop them. You know, there are 5 stories here, including the tales of the Three Brothers and the Deathly Hallows, which some of you may know from the 7th Harry Potter book or the 7th Harry Potter film. But there are also 4 other stories here. Here you can see the depiction of like a skull and stuff, and you know, the invisibility cloak, the elder one, and the stone of resurrection. Really. You know, it's really, it's an enjoyable book. It's a very enjoyable book. So so I really enjoy these small stories. We'll be going from the Harry Potter universe to The Hobbit, the Norwegian edition of Here you can see Smaug, the dragon. And some of you may recognize him either from having read The Hobbit or from having watched the Hobbit filmatization, you know, the desolation of Smaug, or the beginning of the Battle of Five Armies, you know. And Smaug was in the movies voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch, who also plays Doctor Strange in the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, actually. So The Hobbit is a book of Tolkien I have actually read. I have watched the Lord of the Rings film, so I've seen the Hobbit films, and I've read a Hobbit book. And it's a really enjoyable children's story, you know. Here you can see a map, you know, a Norwegian edition of the map. Of a part of the world, at least, of the Tolkien's world. It's really, and I always thought this book was very, like, enjoyable, you know. It's a really simple and nice children's story, but it's really enjoyable. It's not as complex as Lord of the Rings, but I still think this is a very enjoyable story. I enjoy it. Okay, then we have another fiction book, Divergent. And Divergent is a science fiction book I read many years ago, and it's really enjoyable because it's sort of you know, last decade you had, for example, the all popular Hunger Games dystopian franchise, which is a very well-known franchise, you know. I'm not going to go into that, but that's also something I have read and know about. But you also have Divergent, and Divergent is about a girl who sort of gets, and some other people who get sorted in a future dystopian society into one of 5 factions, or groups if you want, which dominate society. And it's a trilogy, and it's a really enjoyable trilogy, if you ask me. Yeah, it's very exciting and it's fun, you know, and there are lots of plot twists and stuff like that. Yeah, so here you can see the sort of, in the chapter here, you can above the chapter see the 5 different factions represented on the page. It's a really, really enjoyable book, if you ask me. Yeah, and it's sort of like a typical science fiction stuff which I enjoy. Yeah, and also kind of cool to think about a society in which, you know, your entire life is defined by which faction or group you're sorted into as a teen. I mean, it's insane. It is super cool, but it's also super cool to think about. Imagine if our lives were defined like that, you know, in reality. I mean, it would have been terrifying. But, you know, yeah, of course, thankfully this is not reality. But, you know, had society gone off rails and society had been rebuilt later and stuff like that, who knows what could have happened, you know. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Now I'm going to be going into history. This is the history of Napoleon, and it's by Herman Lindquist. Yeah, and it's a very enjoyable, book. It tells the story of Napoleon from his beginnings to his end. And I won't quite get too much into it, but it's really enjoyable because when I read it, I learned a lot about Napoleon, who he was, and his life. It was really enjoyable. Here you have another book. This book is about the Swedish king, the first modern Swedish king, at least, Karl Johan. And he was actually Jean Bernadotte, and he was a soldier in Napoleon's army who actually sort of betrayed Napoleon at the end and ended up becoming king of Sweden. He was also the founder of the House of Bernadotte, essentially the house which today is the monarchs or the royal family of Sweden. And this also gives great insight into the French Revolutionary era and the Napoleonic Wars, and gives a perspective on the Nordic aspects of that area. Really enjoyable. no, yeah. So that's really, that's really, that's really enjoyable. Now, what's next? What's next? Okay. This is, I don't remember what it's called in English, but this is the last book of the Hunger Games trilogy. And the reason I am, yeah, the reason I am presenting this is because I actually never finished reading the Hunger Games trilogy back in the day, but I read the 2 first books, and it was an enjoyable story. I read it a decade ago. It was really enjoyable because it presented a horrifying society in which people, teens, were picked out to were chosen to participate in some gruesome contest in the future dystopian society called the Hunger Games, in which the teens, young adults, had to fight to their deaths, and only one will be left standing. And it's a story about, you know, about how surviving this contest and about a revolution eventually against this dystopian, horrible state society. Yeah, it's even more dystopian than Divergent, you know. Yeah. So it's a terrifying story in a way, but also a very exciting science fiction story. Yeah. Okay. The final book I will present to you today is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And here you can see Hagrid, Harry, Ron and Hermione. And I have of course read all the books and watched all the films. I have watched all the Fantastic Beasts films and even read the play. And also read some additional extra books like you know, I read Newt Scamander's school book and the Quidditch book and Beetle the Bard stories. So I'm well versed in the Harry Potter universe. I've even played some Harry Potter games. I haven't yet to play Hogwarts Legacy, but I'll get to that later. I will try to do that later on when I find time to do it. So I think this is a very good beginning to the Harry Potter saga. It's a really enjoyable book, and it's a book which really, when you read it, you sort of feel like you're in this magical, cool world, and it's sort of cool to think about a child getting to go to a cool school of witchcraft and wizardry. I think a lot of people, when we are a child, sort of hope that we will get a letter from Hogwarts. I know a part of me did, at least. Of course that didn't happen, but you know, maybe it happened in some alternate reality or something, who knows. So yeah. But this is I'm so sorry for the occasional semi-clumsy moments of this video, but you know, it just sort of, when I do a book video, it becomes a little like that. I really hope you sort of enjoyed just this soft-spoken book presentation video. It's not exactly the typical video I do, but it was requested and I wanted to talk about it. These are of course just a few of the stories I've read. I've read The Golden Compass, Narnia, and lots of other stuff, and lots of other history books and stuff, including things from the Second World War, books about Norwegian politicians, and even a book about all the presidents of the US. I've read a lot of stuff in my life. I haven't been an avid reader the last few years, but I will try to get back into reading later on when I find time for it. So I hope you sort of could just enjoy this video, and I hope it just was brought like some cozy and relaxing, calming moments to your day. Thank you for watching, and have a blessed divine day.